Hi, good evening and welcome to my printmaking channel. This is a channel whereby I will share some of the skills and techniques I've learned through the process of printmaking. This video will reveal a form of printmaking known as monotype through the process of monoprinting. A monoprint, in general terms, is where an image is drawn on a layer of ink. In this instance, I have a piece of acrylic, polyurethane, acrylic sheet, of which I have rolled a layer of red ink. This is an oil-based ink, and I've coated the surface of the acrylic, and I will use that as the basis of forming a monotype through the use of 3 different colours. In this case, red, yellow and blue. This process is something I've been experimenting with and developing over the last couple of years, and I thought I would share the process with anyone who might be interested. The image I'm going to be using for this I have pre-drawn. It is of a shaman, and what I've done is drawn the image from a photograph from an American archive of a shaman, and I've drawn it in the negative rather than the positive. This way, when it comes to printing the image as a monotype, the image will be printed in a positive. The piece of paper itself that the image is drawn on is slightly larger than the plate. This allows me to hold on to the paper without touching the plate. This is the first stage that I'm going to show. I'm just going to place this piece of paper on top. It will allow me to have about a centimetre around the edge. And I lightly place it on top of the plate, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push lightly around the edge so it will create a slight border, which you will see will become very useful when laying on the next layer of colour. And what I've also done here is I have 3 pens, green, a red and a black. This will allow me to differentiate between each of the colours that I'm using and keep track of which bits I've drawn and which bits I have not. I'll start with the red pen. And the first thing I will do is I will draw the flesh, then I will draw the hair, and then I will draw the clothing. Now, with this image being drawn in the negative, it means that wherever I draw on top of the pencil, that in itself will lift up the ink from the plate, and that area will then not be printed. It will retain in the first layer the white of the paper that's being printed on, therefore giving the illusion of light, and so subsequent layers, as each drawn part of the monoprint is created, it will lift up the previous colour, and therefore the colour that's previously been printed will stay and will not be printed over the top. As I say, as you watch this video, you will see what I mean, as I go through each of the steps and reveal the particular process of using monoprinting to create a monotype. So with this pen, I will begin to just go over the pencil marks that I've laid down. And as I say, I start with the face. Now as I'm drawing, I'm either scribbling the marks or I will use the technique known as cross-hatching, which will form the illusion of tones and hopefully create a fairly three-dimensional aspect to the image. Now what I like about this printmaking method is that you're not quite sure how it will turn out. Therefore it retains an essence of mystery and surprise, which I think is fundamental to this form of printmaking, and quite exciting to see as it unveils itself and reveals the full image through the process. And when creating the prints, try to keep your hands relatively clear of the printing surface, therefore reducing any chance of accidental pressings where they'll transfer the ink from the plate to the paper without meaning to. So I'm trying to keep my hands very much clear of the main surface area of the plate. So the trick when creating these images is to try and see in the mind's eye how you envision the image to look, and to remember that anything that you draw now will be lifted up from the plate therefore any subsequent layers of colour will come through and form the main body of the image. As you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm just scribbling the lines and mixing them with a few cross-hatched areas of line work. And remember, don't worry if you make mistakes. Sometimes mistakes become happy accidents and can teach us a lot about mark making. And sometimes these little accidents, these chance elements, will reveal a different technique that can be utilized in the future. So always keep in mind what you're doing Always be in the present moment. Try not thinking about anything other than what you're doing. So this is mainly the head, the ears. Okay. Now I'm just trying to think of other areas where I want to retain some semblance of light. So I think I'm going to draw a little bit where the hair is, just to pick up some of the ink from the surface. So when I print it, those areas will be white instead of red. So it's as though light is then hitting the surface. Now, I don't want to do too much, so I can save some of that for other layers later on. And some of these lines you will redraw over the top when it comes to the other colours. But I also do not want to do too much. I think I shall stop there. So that's that bit done. So as you can see, I've drawn the majority of the face, laid out the basic premise of the forehead, eyes, nose, mouth, chin, cheeks, and some bits of the hair. I'm just going to gently pull this up. As you'll see, there's the drawing of the face there. Now this bit here, this is not the important bit, but you still retain it for the other layers. The most important part of this process is the plate. Now, as you can see, we've lifted up the red ink where we want those areas to be white, and everything else is still retained there. And what we'll do next is take it over to the printing press and run a pressing of that plate to form the first layer of the monotype. So now the press, and I place the plate on top of the plate of the press and line it up between the marks that I've previously made using tape. Just retain some of the sticky side of the tape, which is here and here. This allows me to place the plate central to the printing bed, and then I'll take a piece of printing paper. This is 300 GSM. This is a bit like card, but it's specifically made for printing. I'll place that on top again, try and make it sit central to the plate, and then I just gently drop it on top. I'll press lightly with my hand. Place some paper on top and the felt. I want to find where it push through. got this quite light, so it's not pressing down too much to begin with. That just sets it. And what I want to do is find where it bites. Where's the edge? There's the edge. So enough. Get it to bite there. Tighten it. And then run it through. Bites. Up again. Take the paper off. You can see the plate is there, we'll take that out of the way. And then we've got our first layer of red. And as you can see, it's printed out in the areas that I drew away, and represented by the white of the paper. That's the first layer of red. The next layer will be yellow, and you'll find that in the next video, which should come up on the end credits. If you click on there, you'll be able to see stage 2. Thank you for watching.